Okay, we're going to take a look at strategic alliances and outsourcing. And we're covering this topic separately, and we'll talk about it more specifically in class. So when we consider the restaurant operation in a hotel environment, we can internally develop a restaurant ourselves, and many hotel groups have done that. Shangri-La developed their Sheng Palace Chinese restaurant, and Summer Palace in places where they also have a Sheng Palace, which is well-known and keeps them in front of the customer wherever they're at. People know that that's there, and that's a brand that they've developed. We can franchise the restaurant. We can bring in an outside source. Let's say we try a Ruth's Chris's Steakhouse or a Morton Steakhouse, for example, within our operation, and bring it as a franchise where we operate. In Singapore, for example, there's Wolfgang Puck restaurants that are run by the Marina Bay Sands staff, but they use their name. We can use a straight lease where we have a space and we lease it out to them. They put in all their equipment, whatever they may do in the process, and they just run it within the space we have. Or we can have a management contract where it's our space, our equipment, and so on, and we just hire them to come in and run the operation itself. So in the past, restaurants have been managed as kind of a secondary function in hotels because they have a less profit margin than you have in the hotel rooms area. So therefore, the service is not quite the same. They haven't run the same kind of reputation. So sometimes you get inferior food or inferior service compared to what you have in the rest of the hotel, drags down the image of the hotel. So hotels are thinking and rethinking this, and labor issues are another factor. Labor costs are quite extensive. Labor contracts in terms of how you operate, all of this being handled by the hotel itself. So they're rethinking where they're at. So the hotel has to look at, okay, what are the customers' food and beverage needs and expectations? How much are they changing? Are they changing faster than we can keep up with them? Do we have to change menus on a regular basis? How does that affect our banquets and our catering side of it? Which food and beverage concept best align with the positioning of the hotel? So is a typical coffee shop in line with the 4 or 5 star type property that we have? Maybe not. That may not be the kind of hotel we have, the kind of restaurant that we want to operate within that hotel. So what would converting the hotel's restaurant into a brand name concept improve that image? Would that add to it? Would turning that brand name food and beverage operation give the property a more competitive advantage? It would bring in customers who might also be customers of the rooms. So in outsourcing alliances, we have to think about the financial benefits. Is that going to bring in more to our bottom line, perhaps, if we don't have some of those costs, but we're only getting the revenue aspect of it? Provides customers with greater value, perhaps. Improves the property's overall image, maybe strengthens the operation's competitive position because there's a trade-off now. Good people coming into the restaurants might like that, and create some operational advantages in terms of the function of keeping the focus on rooms as opposed to the food and beverage side of it. The challenges, you have to have a strategy to develop their own food and beverage concepts, and have been successful in most hotel companies in the U.S. In Asia, hotels are often valued by the value of their food and beverage operation. If you have a good Chinese restaurant, you would then take that and say, well, that must be a good hotel. Now, Tempton has done an excellent job in the management of their restaurants versus hotels, often having separate entrances. Even though it has an entrance to the hotel, it has a private entrance. Managers are separate. They've done a really good job of being able to do that, but that's not an easy task. So, and therefore, sometimes we have inconsistency in the food and beverage and lower profits and sales. We can't keep up with the things that we want to be able to do. So, in outsourcing, they become an integral part of repositioning of the hotel. They can increase our revenues and perhaps even our occupancy aspect of it. The restaurant franchisor is continually assessing the menu where we don't have to do that. They can follow it up and they can do it in their other operations and bring it right to this operation. The franchisor is knowledgeable about the restaurant business, which we may not be. The disadvantages, you're going to pay a franchise fee. It's going to cost you more money, right? Requires a certain level of volume to really make it successful. You have a high initial investment to go into this. The brand can lose reputation or recognition, and that may hurt you if the brand, for some reason, gets in the news because it did something wrong from a hiring standpoint, from a food standpoint. And who's going to handle room service and banquet? Is it going to be them? Is it a separate kitchen? Not all hotels have separate kitchens to do that. So that's our discussion I look forward to talking to you more about it